it is a blow for Israel. This is not, the dimensions are not huge. It's not the United States. But still, any such a resolution is, first of all, a symbolic one. I hope that it will not happen, and I hope that we will not need more weapons. Today in Gaza, you have quite very few Israeli soldiers, and in many ways the war is over. That is one thing, and of course there is the question of the south of Rafah. For the time being, I do not see the war in Rafah, and I don't think that the war in Rafah will change a lot.
So
On the other hand, on the Palestinian side, you see that there are changes. There is a new government, there is a new prime minister, and the issue of the two-state solution is back on the agenda. It is mentioned everywhere, and since we then spoke, I've met the foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates, and he said to me very clear, I mean, very clearly, that his country would be ready to be involved in the rebuilding of Gaza and in other areas
okay.
if we begin our talks with the Palestinians on a two-state solution. So the two-state solution became the kind of a precondition for the world to help us solve the problem.
So do you feel optimistic that, because I suppose for us observing it, certainly from us sitting here in the UK, it looks like the possibility of a two-state solution feels very, very remote, because it looks like Netanyahu doesn't want to move and his coalition doesn't want him to move, and he doesn't look like he's going anywhere. We've just heard from our previous guest as well that he has a big advantage in prolonging this conflict. Hamas have not said that they want to give up the hostages either. But you seem quite optimistic about getting a two-state solution. How does it happen in real terms? I mean, how does a ceasefire happen to begin with?
Well, first of all, my optimism is reserved, of course. I mean, it is not something which is behind the corner. And it depends very much on Netanyahu. If Netanyahu succeeds to remain in power, despite of the demonstrations and the huge opposition that he's meeting, then he will not allow the solution of a two-state solution before the next elections, which is in 2 years from now. But I don't believe that it will happen. I mean, I think that his term will be much shorter. On the other hand, the Hamas is much weaker. It did not disappear, but it is much weaker as a potential spoiler of the two-state solution. And that is a very big advantage. And more people are talking about the Palestinian Authority and the PLO as a partner. Even the government of Netanyahu allowed people from the authority to get to Gaza and to help in this matter of providing food for the
Okay.
Gazians. And regretfully, two of them were killed, and then it was revealed that Netanyahu has secretly allowed them to do that. So I think that people understand that we don't have a better partner than the PLO and the Palestinian Authority. And if the spoiler is not there, then the chance is bigger. But it depends very much on one person, and this is the Israeli Prime Minister. And if he succeeds to fight for his political survival, then it will take much longer.
And that is the key point, is it not? Because, as you say, he is the key piece in this jigsaw puzzle. And
Right.
if he goes, then everything you say has a fighting chance of happening. But if he doesn't go, he is the obstacle. Obviously, there's the other factors as well. Many would argue Hamas, but Netanyahu is such a key figure in all of this. And what makes you think he is going to go?
The atmosphere. I mean, the atmosphere in the street, the media. I mean, the criticism against him in his own party is huge. I mean, it is not. It is still behind closed doors. But I'm listening to these talks behind those closed doors, and I know how upset they are of his leadership because it is. I don't think that it was ever so clear that one person in Israel, and it is usually the prime minister. But in his case, if tomorrow he gives up or resigns, then immediately the relations with the United States, with the United Kingdom, with the most important countries in the world will be different. There is no question about it. It is just his decision to step down and another person, hopefully from the center left, replacing him, that everything in the international arena will change. And I
Okay.
also believe that, I mean, the most important thing here is the following one. There is an American or American-British plan for ending the confrontation, the violent confrontation today, to exchange of the hostages for prisoners, and beginning of talks about the future, and having a regional alliance with Saudi Arabia. This is a plan that has not been publicized, but everybody talks about it, and it was already published in the New York Times and in the Washington Post. I mean, I believe that the next Israeli prime minister will just take it because it is a treasure for us and for the Palestinians. And if this is the case, then things may change.
Okay.
I'm
Uh,
sure that it will happen.
And just very, very final question to you briefly. You've mentioned international allies. There's been a lot of anger after the deaths of the 7 aid workers earlier this week. Joe Biden has had some very strong words with Netanyahu. The British Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron, has said that support for Israel is not unconditional. What do you think it would mean to Israel if, for example, the UK decided to stop selling arms to Israel? What would that mean for Israel?
Well, it is very inconvenient. I mean, it is a blow for Israel. This is not, the dimensions are not huge. It's not the United States. But still, any such a resolution is, first of all, a symbolic one. I hope that it will not happen, and I hope that we will not need more weapons. I'm sure that the British government understands that this event that you mentioned was not something intentionally done by Israelis, but it is a result of an ongoing war. And things like that always happen when the war doesn't stop. It has to end.
Okay, we'll
And it
have
is a
to.
tragedy because these people really did something sacred for both sides.
Okay, well, look, we'll have to leave it there. But really, really interesting speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time. That is the former Israeli Justice Minister Yossi Beilin.